Some Johannesburg communities are still without water after a technical fault at the Eikenhof pump station caused disruptions. Public facilities, including hospitals, have not been spared.
Now, we're going to take that story forward. Newzroom Africa's Nqobile Madlala joins us now with an update from the Rahima Moosa Hospital. Nqobile, a good morning to you. I mean, very, very concerning that we heard that the Rahima Moosa Hospital in and of itself has been struggling with these water cuts. What are you hearing about how it's impacted the hospital's operations?
Well, Naledi, it is Rahima Moosa as well as Helen Joseph and other areas that have been affected. We know that the area of Coronationville is one that has been very affected, especially when it comes to water. We understand that it's an upper layer, which makes it very hard to pump water to the site once they are done with some of the work that they do in these in the water. So I want to bring in now my guest to speak to us about the issues that the hospital has faced during this time. So if you could just elaborate for us, how have you survived for the past few days?
Yeah, good morning. Maybe just to say the first thing is that Rainwater provide water to all the hospitals. So all hospitals are negatively affected when there's a water outage. Us in particular, we provided by 2 water lines. We provided from the Hursty line, and then as a backup we also provided from Crosby. Now both are affected when Eikenhof is affected. At the moment we've also got 2 boreholes, but part of the problem, the hospital is an 80-year-old hospital, and the water reticulation, there's different water reticulation infrastructure in different parts of the hospital. We've got a capacity in the hospital of 120,000 litre tank. From our borehole we have an additional 150,000 litre, but that pump to just a certain part of the hospital. Particularly what is negatively affected is our outpatient department, and then the pediatrics administrative side, which is a block B, which is a newer section. Those portions get water directly from Joburg water and rainwater. So if that's affected, that area's out. We normally need to carry water from the areas that have water to that areas. And that we do from our DID staff that we have on the premises.
How does that affect your work though?
Well, you can imagine it. Water provision is critical. If you look at outpatients, it's one of the busiest areas where people from the street come off. If you don't have water, you're not able to flush toilets, so toilet usage is affected. People are unable to wash their hands. That can cause cross infections and stuff like that. So you can just imagine. I'm certain people know how they're affected when their house don't have water. Imagine a public facility like a hospital. It's just multiplied thousandfold by the number of people that come to the hospital.
And I mean, I know that a while back Gifted Givers was one of the people that provided that borehole, and one would think that maybe that will alleviate some of the issues with water?
You need to understand infrastructure plays a role. In our case, this is a facility that's 81 years old. It has infrastructure, existing water infrastructure to the hospital. Already we've got problems with it. If infrastructure is 80 years old, you already have breakages, you need to think about that. But there's certain portions of the hospitals that's been added on later. Now that you have a different water reticulation there. So that's the problem. The problem is not only pumping the water to the hospital, it's also getting it to all the sections. And as I explained, if a section is not connected to the main circuitry, you'll be able to provide water to that section, but other sections are left out. And that's the case in our It's critical to us is to make certain that we have provision to our theatres, we have provision to our wards, so that section the ball provide. But it does not provide, for instance, to the residents when nurses are staying. It does not provide to our outpatients, and as I explained earlier, also to our B block, which is mainly the administrative part of our pediatrics department. It doesn't provide water there as well.
Doc, lastly, we understand that the water is coming back now. Have you started receiving it?
Well, yes. All sections of our hospital do have water. So also the sections that's dependent on outside water, on rand waters, they have water as well.
Thank you very much for speaking to us. Well, as you can hear then, Naledi, they've had to sort of figure out how to survive for a couple of days when there was the water issue, but we understand that the water is back now, so they are able to access the water. But the infrastructure being the key issue there, as you can hear from the doctor explaining to us that the old infrastructure doesn't always connect, which means certain parts of the hospital is provided for by water from Rand Water or Joburg Water directly. So when there's no water, then that affects that part of the hospital. But of course there is a briefing that is going to go underway at about 8:30, and we are going to be there to give you updates in terms of how many more areas will be affected or if they are going to get water.
Nqobile Madlala speaking to us there from outside the Rahima Moosa Hospital. Thank you so much for giving us that update.